The first contradiction didn't hurt. That's why it worked. It appeared quietly, like static behind a familiar signal. Something didn't line up, but nothing demanded attention. In the lab, we used to log anomalies, small deviations, irregular readings. Most of them didn't get fixed, they got adapted to. The brain doesn't eliminate contradictions at first, it tolerates them. And tolerance, repeated often enough, becomes blindness. That's how contradiction stops feeling like a problem and starts feeling like background.
Number 10. The micro scene opens with a man reading two conflicting reports on a screen, eyes lingering on the first while the second scrolls past unread, his posture settling as focus narrows. The psychology label is selective integration. The mechanism begins when competing inputs overload coherence, causing the brain to prioritize the first accepted narrative and suppress conflicting signals. The pattern breaks when only one report feels real. The human trigger is cognitive stability, mirrored by the line, contradiction fades when attention chooses sides. Number 9. The micro scene shifts to a woman listening to a conversation, head nodding at familiar points, jaw tightening briefly at an opposing remark before her gaze drifts away. The psychology label is attentional disengagement. The mechanism withdraws focus from dissonant input to preserve internal alignment. The pattern breaks when the opposing remark cannot be recalled. The human trigger is emotional comfort, mirrored by the line, "What disrupts alignment loses clarity." Number 8. The micro scene shows a student closing a book mid-chapter. Unresolved contradiction left marked by a folded corner, relief visible as the book shuts. The psychology label is dissonance relief avoidance. The mechanism trades unresolved tension for immediate calm, reinforcing the decision to ignore inconsistency. The pattern breaks when calm feels earned. The human trigger is stress reduction, mirrored by the line, "Ignoring contradiction feels like progress." Number 7. The micro scene follows a team meeting ending without resolving disagreement, smiles returning as the topic changes, tension draining from the room. The psychology label is social relief conditioning. The mechanism pairs harmony with avoidance, teaching the brain to skip contradictions to maintain peace. The pattern breaks when silence feels successful. The human trigger is group cohesion, mirrored by the line, "Contradiction disappears where harmony is rewarded." Number 6. The micro scene presents a speaker reframing inconsistency as nuance, tone calm, gestures controlled, audience relaxing as complexity is excused. The psychology label is moral rationalization. The mechanism reclassifies contradiction as sophistication, removing ethical pressure to resolve it. The pattern breaks when inconsistency sounds intelligent. The human trigger is moral self-image, mirrored by the line, "Contradiction survives when it feels justified." Number 5. The micro scene captures a decision maker acknowledging conflicting data briefly before dismissing it as irrelevant context, pen moving forward without pause. The psychology label is justified exclusion. The mechanism morally licenses selective disregard, allowing action without reconciliation. The pattern breaks when dismissal feels responsible. The human trigger is decisional authority, mirrored by the line, "Power teaches the mind which contradictions don't matter." Number 4. The micro scene freezes on a control room monitor displaying two incompatible indicators, one alarm disabled, tape covering the warning light. The psychology label is contradiction locking. The mechanism hardens selective attention into permanent exclusion, preventing contradiction from re-entering awareness. The pattern breaks when reactivating the alarm feels impossible. The human trigger is system stability, mirrored by the line, "Once contradiction is locked out, coherence feels restored. The tape does not peel. The alarm does not sound. The indicator stays ignored. Number 3. The microscene shows a conversation paused, a person defending a belief while dismissing opposing evidence as misunderstanding, posture confident. The psychology label is identity protective cognition. The mechanism fuses belief with self-concept, treating contradiction as a personal threat. The pattern breaks when challenge feels disrespectful. The human trigger is identity security, mirrored by the line, "Contradictions threaten who you are." The posture remains firm. The evidence stays unheard. The belief stands. Number 2. The microscene depicts a digital feed where contradictory information scrolls by untouched, affirming posts receiving attention and approval. The psychology label is selective reinforcement. The mechanism rewards consistency with belonging, discouraging engagement with opposing signals. The pattern breaks when ignoring feels natural. The human trigger is social validation, mirrored by the line, "The brain learns which contradictions cost acceptance." The feed refreshes. The affirmation remains. The rest disappears. Number 1. The microscene ends in silence, a coherent story replayed internally, inconsistencies smoothed over, no friction remaining. The psychology label is narrative stabilization. The mechanism integrates the filtered story as baseline reality, excluding unresolved contradiction permanently. The pattern breaks when coherence feels complete. The human trigger is mental rest, mirrored by the line, "The mind bends toward stories without conflict." The silence holds. The story stays intact. The contradictions fade. Ignored contradictions leave residue. Not as confusion, as certainty. You don't feel blind, you feel consistent. The brain doesn't erase contradiction. It trains itself not to notice. If something here felt familiar, that sensation is not disagreement. It is awareness brushing against what was skipped. This channel exists to slow the moment before contradiction disappears. Stay, because what your brain learns to ignore quietly shapes what you believe is real.